think we'll go ahead and get started. And if folks join us, we will catch them up as they come in. So again, welcome. We are so excited that you've decided to attend the University of Michigan School of Social Work. Congratulations on making your decision. And we're really excited to be some of the first to welcome you in this welcome webinar today. My name is Greta Kemp, and I'm a coordinator in the Office of Global Activities here at the School of Social Work. Our director, who is not here today because she's actually traveling in Singapore, is Dr. Katie Lopez. And then my colleague Hilda is here. Hilda, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Hilda Yu, and you may also feel free to call my Chinese name Xiaoxi, and I'm currently the International Student Assistant in the Office of Global Activities.
Thanks.
Um, yep, thank you, Greta. And for this session, and currently all the participants are muted, and during the presentation, feel free to type in any question into the chat box here, and also feel free to jump in with any question, unmute it yourself, and we will respond the question immediately when you open your mic, or we will respond to the question in the chat at the end of the session. Just for your maybe very individualized question, we will follow up with the email. And for other function of the Zoom meeting, you can also turn on show captions. If that show caption button is not in the bottom area, you may click more and then find the show caption and change the language system. The reason why we're gonna do this because sometimes people may find it hard to follow up with the English speakings, or you want to translate it, or there's some certain vocabulary we don't know. So just feel free to open the caption and make the Zoom meeting easier. For this presentation, all the slides will be sent and posted in the important information for incoming student webpage. So do you want to click this website? Or okay, so all the information will be posted in this website, especially if you're income students. There's multiple resources you can look for, and all the webinar and orientation things will be posted on this webpage. You will also receive a copy of the slides and recording of today's sessions via email. For today's agenda, we will briefly talk about the timeline, what does that looks like after you register, and what is like, for example, the orientation and what time you will start your first class, and blah, blah, blah. And also we will talk a little bit about the academic, financial aid, arrival logic, like how it's gonna be when you are first traveling to the United States and you're jumping in the Detroit airport and knowing nothing. So we kind of want to talk about what it looks like. And then we will talk about life in Ann Arbor. And in the end, we hope you to introduce yourself to us. And then we will start like a quick Q&A.
Great. Thanks so much, Hilda. So we have a lot to cover today. There's a lot of information, but like Hilda said, we'll be posting the slides with all of the links and the recording for you to review. So don't feel like you need to write a lot of things down now. You'll receive all this information very soon. And please feel free to ask questions if they come up while we're talking. So we know that there might be folks with a lot of different curriculum tracks, pathways. There's lots of sort of different types of programming you might be involved in as you're preparing to start your MSW program. But this is a general timeline of things you should be expecting to do this summer while you're preparing to start in August on campus at the university. So we really want to encourage you to be checking your U of M email for important information. A lot of the information that goes out prior to starting the program, things like registering for classes, information about field education, and other really crucial information will come only to your University of Michigan email, not to the email address that you applied with, which might have been from your previous institution or your personal email. So please get in the habit of checking your U of M email throughout the summer. Also during the summer, if you have any exemptions for essential courses, so this means some of our like foundational courses, our basic courses we expect all of our incoming students to take. If you have an undergraduate degree that's in a related field to social work, so maybe psychology, sociology, anthropology, even some like education or child development courses, you might be able to be exempt from one of our foundation courses because you've already taken a really similar course in your undergraduate education. If so, and you want to be able to opt out of one of our essential courses, you need to submit exemption requests during the summer before classes start in the fall. And you can get in touch with our Office of Student Services if that's a situation that you want to ask about. Um, Now, review the Admitted Students and Materials Toolkit. So this is a really helpful website for admitted students, newly admitted students. You'll click the on-campus program, and then it has a couple of different resources here. So there's an orientation toolkit and next steps. The next steps that kind of breaks down things from setting up your unique name, which is your username at the University of Michigan that you'll use for all of your logins, different information about technology, and other things you need to make sure, the kind of crucial things you need to make sure you do. There's also this toolkit that has lots and lots and lots of resources, dates, times, webinars, information, things about housing, class registration, field education. So there's a ton of information in here that really breaks things down bit by bit. And ongoing throughout the summer, there's different sessions. Some of them are with current MSW students and some of them with our staff and faculty about what you need to know as an incoming student. So I strongly suggest that you take a look at this toolkit. There's really a lot of information there. You'll be able to get a lot of your questions answered. We want to highlight that in July to the beginning of August, we have a unit on campus called the English Language Institute, and they host a pre-arrival course for incoming graduate students. So this covers things about language, academics in sort of the US academic system, like sort of academic writing in English, research in English, things like that. So they cover English language supports for graduate students. And so if that's something you're interested in, that's a resource for you happening in the summer. They do have a virtual option for this, so it's something you can do even if you're not in Michigan quite yet. In July, most people will be registering for classes. I will say that if you are a master track student, you might be on a slightly different timeline than this, and that's okay. So if you're in the master track, know that whatever information you've already received about registration, you should follow that. For everyone else, if you're a 16-month, 20-month, or advanced standing student, you will be receiving a date and a time that you'll register for classes in July. There is a webinar recording that you can review with more information about registering for classes, gives you a step-by-step breakdown of how to do it. But know that that email will be coming to, again, your University of Michigan email. You'll get a specific date and time when registration is open for you for classes. If you're not available at the exact date and time that you are given for registration, that's okay. You'll be able to register anytime after that. But we recommend you try to get as close to your registration time as you can, but no, you cannot register before the date and time that you're given an appointment for. A couple other things for this summer, the International Center Summer Orientation. So this is International Center is another unit that we have on campus. You've already been in touch with them. They're the folks who helped you process your visa eligibility documents. And so they also hold a summer orientation for both undergraduate and graduate students. So lots of opportunities to get oriented and get familiar with our campus. On August 25th, we will have the School of Social Work International Student Orientation. So this one is in person. It'll be at the School of Social Work. Hilda and I will be there, as well as our director Katie, and we really hope you're able to attend that day. That is when all the international students as a cohort come to the building, and we have lots of guest speakers, people that you will get to know around the School of Social Work and kind of talk through resources and getting you oriented to our school and to your MSW program. We feed you lunch. We have a group of alumni or like returning students who will come and speak to you on a panel, so you can ask lots of questions. It's a fun day where you get to know everyone and get to know our school, and so we really hope that you'll join us then. After that Monday, the rest of the week is what we call seed orientation. And so this is the orientation week for all of our students, where you'll do things like meet your academic advisor. You will get to know your pathway cohort and your pathway faculty leads. You'll kind of nail down your course registration, make sure everything's set there. So it's really time to a week before the week the classes start to make sure you have everything you need to start the program. And then the following Tuesday, September 2nd, classes begin. So this summer, there's, like I said, a lot of opportunities to get information, to start getting oriented, to ask a lot of questions, and make sure you have everything you need for when classes start in September. Okay, so I've gone through one of these already, the admitted student resources we just looked at. These are just some links. Again, when you get the slides, I encourage you to click through some of them. There's important information for incoming students. That's the one this has a lot of sort of the most frequently looked for links on here. So we know that the academic calendar is one. The academic calendar is what tells us when things are happening. So at the top, you can click to fall. And then that's the reminder of when different things start. So this is when seed orientation starts, when classes starts, when field education starts, and it goes through the whole semester. So that's where our academic calendar is. Really easy to get there through this important information for incoming students. It's also linked down here. We do have a page specifically for international students at the School of Social Work. So you can see over here on the left-hand side, this will have information specific to international students. So it takes you to the stories page where we have just the voices of previous international students on there. But then if you're looking for information about financial aid, health insurance, housing, a variety of other things, you can click through these links on the sides to find what you're looking for. Changing your pathway. So this is something we hear from students a lot. If you are feeling unsure if the pathway that you enrolled in through your application is the pathway that you want to stay in, that is okay. And you are in good company because lots and lots and lots of students are having those same questions as they come into our program, as they're looking at classes and their course registration worksheets. So I can give myself as an example. I graduated from the MSW program, and when I enrolled initially, I applied and enrolled under like a research pathway. We didn't have pathways then, but it would have been something like the research and evaluation. And then I switched over to community change. It's very, very common, and we have a form to be able to do that. So if it's something you're considering, don't worry, that information is there. That form is here. It's like an online form that you can use to request that change. I really want to highlight this course planning webinar. So you have likely been emailed out your course registration worksheets. And so these tell you it's sort of like a plan of your semesters that you'll be in the program and what courses are required, how many electives are required, and how to sort of make everything fit. This course planning webinar goes through that really in detail and gives you some tips about how to register for classes and making sure that you get all of the required classes in the order that you need to in order to be successful and complete the program on time. So there's a recording here that's linked, and if you didn't watch it live, then I would encourage you to take a look at it to make sure you're prepared. Okay. We know that some folks might have already completed maybe your undergraduate education in the United States, and some people coming are brand new to the United States academic system. So here's just a couple of things that might look familiar or might not. Again, your U of M email account. So we do use Google infrastructure for our University of Michigan email. We use the Google for a lot of things. So the Google Suite. So not just for email. It's really common at our school and on campus to use the Google Calendar, the Google Drive, which is like a file storing cloud system, and a range of other Google platforms for work here. So starting with your email is a good place to start, and also getting more comfortable with Google over the summer, if you are interested, would be a good idea because we do use it a lot here. Wolverine Access, I'll pull up. This is our sort of portal for the protected information for sort of your student information while you are enrolled here. So you would find this, there's a login that you would use your same unique name, your University of Michigan username and password. And then there are a lot of different tabs in here. Student business is kind of a main one that, let's see if it'll let me in. No, I would have to log in. But the student business has lots of different things. This is where you'll register for classes. This is where you can get information about your current financial aid. Lots of different things in here. And then there's also resources, right? So there's some housing resources. There's direct deposit, which connects your student account to a bank. So this is a website that you'll use frequently. There's a lot on here. So take your time going through it. You don't need to know everything, but know you will be visiting this website a lot, and you'll get used to it over time. And then the Canvas Student Guide, which I'll show you example on the next slide. The Canvas Student Guide. Canvas is the platform that we use for our coursework. So for each class that you're enrolled in, you will be added to a Canvas site. And through the Canvas site, you will be able to receive and send information to your professor. You'll be able to discuss things with other students on a virtual platform. But Canvas is what we use for all of our sort of academic world here. There is a student guide. That's what this link is, that really walks you through the sort of basics. It has like a little orientation sort of thing of like, what are the basics you need to know about using Canvas, excuse me. And we also have other resources for learning about that. Short webinars, we have tech help and things like that if you need extra support getting started on Canvas. This is the Canvas course link for welcome materials. So this is specifically for international students. We have just sort of a introduction to US frameworks for what is social work in the US, the values system from the National Association of Social Work, and things like that. So this is a Canvas course that you can sign up for and kind of go through to learn a little bit about social work in the US if that's something that you're interested in. It's a free course and it's self-paced. So that is something you can look into if you're interested in, again, learning a little bit more about the US context for social work. Okay, registration for classes. So I talked about this briefly before, but you will receive a specific registration date and time in an email that will be sent either late June or early July for most people. Your registration appointment will be posted in Wolverine Access. So that's the website with all those tiles that I just posted. There will be, again, there's lots of step-by-step guides out there for registering in Wolverine Access, the sort of buttons to click and step-by-step going through that. Make sure you're checking your U of M email to get your registration date and time. And we do strongly encourage you to register at the time you're scheduled for. The reason for that is we have a lot of incoming students. So we have about almost 450 incoming students in the fall. So most of our classes are capped at about 20 to 25 students. So not everyone is competing for the same classes, but there is a little bit of competition. And so that is why we can't have everyone register at one time because it would overload the system, which is why you're assigned a time. So just to sort of be able to spread out when people are registering, and also to make sure that you have the opportunity to get into the classes that you want to, we encourage you to register as close to your time as possible. And you will be assigned an academic advisor. You probably don't have that information yet, and that's normal. You will meet your advisor during the week before classes, the seed week. If you have questions that you want to talk to an advisor before then, please reach out to our Office of Student Services, and they can connect you to an advisor who can talk you through any course registration questions you have prior to being assigned an academic advisor. Okay, a little more about academics. So I just wanted to kind of talk through, this is a really common question that we get about when does field education start primarily. This is sort of what we're looking at here. So we have different what we call curriculum tracks in our MSW program. So you should know what yours is. They're typically either called the 16-month, 20-month, advanced standing, master track. You might also be a 4+1 student if you got a degree in an undergraduate degree in sociology here and you're adding on one more year to get your MSW. If that is the case for you, then you are on a 12-month track, which is the same as our advanced standing track. Those are our core curriculum schedules. And so I just want to talk through for each of these because this is often a point of confusion, what semesters you'll be enrolled in, depending on your curriculum schedule, and then what semesters you'll be taking field education. So that's when you'll be in your field placement, which is like an internship. So for the 16-month schedule, for folks in the 16-month track, you are enrolled starting in the fall, so that's our September semester, fall, and then winter, which is our January to April semester. So fall, winter, then the spring, summer, and then fall again. So for our 16-month schedule, this is students who are going through 4 semesters of the program and don't take any semester break, basically. So you'll go straight through from September to December in the fall, January to April in the winter, May to August in the spring, summer, and then again September to December in the fall, graduating in December. For 16-month folks, most of the time, unless you're in some sort of special program or scholarship program, typically a 16-month schedule, you will not start field placement in the fall. So you should not have, you will not have already applied for field placement or anything like that. You will start your field placement in the winter, so in January. In this case, you will receive information about applying for your field placement in September once you start the program. So that's not something you need to worry about yet. When you do, you'll apply for your field placement starting in the fall semester, and then you'll be placed and start your field placement in January. So during the winter term, you will be in about 16 hours or 2 full days of field placement per week. In the spring summer, you'll be in about 3 full days of your field placement per week, and the same in your final fall term, you'll be in about 3 full days of your field placement per week. If you're on a 20-month schedule, you similarly will not be starting field in your incoming fall term. The difference between the 16-month and the 20-month schedule is that for 20-month, there is still 4 semesters of the MSW program, but there is a break for the spring summer semester. 20-month students do not take classes during the spring summer semester. So their 4 semesters are the fall, winter, then spring summer break, and then fall, winter, graduating in April. For you, again, you will receive information about applying for your field placement in the fall. So in September, when you come in, you'll apply for your field placement during your first term and start your field placement in January. So you'll do about 2 days a week of field placement during your first winter term. Then you'll take a break for the summer, come back for about 3 days a week of field placement in your fall term and 3 days per week in your winter term, and graduate in April. So, if you are an advanced standing or a 4+1 student, so these are what we sometimes call our 12-month tracks because these are students who finish in 1 year. This is a 3-semester program, and this is for students who either have a bachelor's of social work or, like I said, are in this sociology program at U of M. So if you are an advanced standing student, you should have already applied for field because you will be starting your field placement this fall in September when you come in. Field starts the same day of classes on September 2nd if you're an advanced standing or 4+1 student. For you, since you have 3 semesters, you will just do fall, winter, and then spring, summer, graduating in August, and you will be in field the entire time. And you'll be in field, your field placement for about 2 days per week for each semester that you're in the program. Similarly for the master track, so these are folks who have completed about a semester's worth of online program and will be coming to campus to finish their last 3 programs. You're on a similar track, so you should have already applied for your field placement. You'll be starting in your field placement in the fall on the same day as classes, September 2nd. You'll do 2 hours during your fall term, or about 2 days during your fall term, and then you'll do 3 days in field placement for your winter term and your spring summer term and graduate in August. So if you are in the Master Track program or the Advanced Standing or 4+1 program, and you know now that you need to start your field placement for the fall term, but you have not applied for your field placement, please get in touch with the Office of Student Services as soon as possible, and they can talk to you about your options. If you are a 16-month student or 20-month student, you don't need to worry about field. You don't need to have applied yet, and you'll be getting lots of information in the fall. We do have some information here about field for you if you are curious about it. If you're a 16-month or 20-month student, but you're curious about what to expect from your field placement and want to do a little bit of reading and learning beforehand, you're welcome to. Like I said, you'll be getting a lot of information about this in the fall. It's something that students have a lot of questions about. So don't worry too much about trying to have it all figured out now. If you are starting your field placement in the fall as a advanced standing 4+1 or master track student, I would really encourage you to read over this information this summer and make sure you have a clear idea of your responsibilities in your field placement. This incoming field students website is a really comprehensive one that talks you through the application, interview, and preparing to start. So it gives some really good advice, lots of good questions and answers, things you should ask once you've been accepted to a field placement. Ask your field instructor about, what are good questions to ask to prepare for your first day, pieces of advice, how to approach your learning. So there's really a ton of good information there in preparing to start field in the fall. The other thing I really want to highlight, this is for everyone, and is a common question that we get, is about curricular practical training, which is called CPT. So CPT, this is a requirement from the US government for students with F1 status. So if you are coming on an F1 visa, you are required to obtain CPT authorization prior to beginning fieldwork. CPT is similar to work authorization, but it is for internships, practicums, and field education. And so CPT authorization is specific to your field site, so specific to the agency that you will be doing your field education with. And it's also specific to each term. So essentially, you're granted authorization through CPT to complete your field education with that agency for that term. So you will apply if you are a 4+1 advanced standing or master track student. You will be applying for CPT authorization prior to starting your field placement in the fall for the fall term. For everybody, when you're in your field placement in the winter term, everyone will be applying again for CPT starting in the winter term. So each year or each semester that you are in your field placement, you will be applying for CPT. Um, you must have CPT authorization granted before you can start your field placement. So it's important that you have this process. You should be applying at least, we say about 2 weeks is as sort of the minimum to be applying for CPT. It's not like a really, really long process, but it does take a little bit of time. So you want to give yourself at least 2 weeks. There's no fee. And you will be receiving information from the Office of Field Education. This is not something you need to go and just do completely on your own. So briefly, there is how to apply for CPT that has more information. But just so you know, because every single one of our students in the MSW program has to complete field education, this isn't like an optional internship or something that some folks do. This is something all of our students do. So we have a system set up through our Office of Field Education to support you in applying for CPT. Our staff at the Office of Field Education actually help generate the letters and the forms that you will need to apply for CPT. They will send you those forms that you need, and then you will take those forms and submit your application. So the work is not on you to be contacting your field instructor about this or to be navigating how to fill out these forms. You'll receive them from the Office of Field Education when it's time with instructions about your next steps. So they really try to share the load that we know is a little extra on our international students in getting this authorization. But if you have questions about it or you're feeling unsure about the timing for applying for CPT, the Office of Field Education is a great resource. They'd be happy to help you with that. You can also reach out to our office. I work really closely with the staff in the Office of Field Education that work on the CPT authorization. So you're welcome to get in touch with our office as well if you have questions. Okay, next up we have financial aid. Um, so there's not a lot of information, but more some reminders and a couple of resources. So international students are eligible for merit-based scholarship aid, which you may have completed within the MSW application. So you might have some aid that you are granted already. One of the ways you might have gotten this is through a special program. So we have multiple different programs at the University of Michigan School of Social Work that some people choose to apply to. Here's some of them. We have them. Some of them are connected to a pathway, like the Child Welfare Scholarship or the Geriatric Scholarship. Some of them are connected to sort of like special studies, like the New Leaders in African-Centered Social Work Scholars Program. But if you are in one of these, you would definitely know because you would have already applied during your MSW program and gotten an admissions letter to that. Um, Donor funded scholarships. So these are donors who have merit-based scholarships available, and these are emailed out usually by our Office of Student Services as they arise. So we do have a development office in the School of Social Work who has they maintain relations with donors who are interested in providing funds for different students or different sort of reasons. And so when there are new donor funds available that international students qualify for, you'll be notified of that through email. And then I also just want to mention that the International Center has an emergency fund. This is just a link to have, in your sort of bookmark somewhere for in case you should ever need it. This is for unusual emergency expenses. So we know that sometimes things come up. Things happen in life that you might have suddenly a really big medical bill, or you might have your car broke down, or you might have lost a source of income. And so for emergency funding that is sort of threatening either your well-being or your ability to continue in the program at U of M, there is an emergency fund for international students through the International Center. So we just want you to know that that is there should you come into financial hardship during your program. Unfortunately, international students are not eligible for need-based financial aid. So that's US federal or state aid because of restrictions on that funding through the federal government policies. Um, You are also not eligible for Michigan scholarships and opportunity grants, which are need-based. And then there are some donor-funded scholarships that have citizenship requirements. So just so you know, you're not eligible for that. And we've worked really hard through we do have a funding webpage. And we try to be really clear if there are restrictions on citizenship requirements for a funding opportunity. We try to make that really clear in the description for any sort of financial aid. So if you have questions about that, if you're looking at a grant or a scholarship opportunity and you're not sure whether you would qualify for it as an international student, our office is really happy to help for that. We either usually have that information or know who to ask to find that out. So feel free to ask about that. So here are some financial aid information websites. This School of Social Work one. So again, this is yeah, International Student Financial Aid. So these are some special programs, and then there's some donor funded information as well down here. So all that information that we just went through, you can actually see the different sources there on that website. So these are just things you might want to look through if you're still curious about financial aid. There's external scholarships also. So these are a lot of more nationwide things, not through the University of Michigan, but broader scholarships that you might qualify for as an international student as well. Okay, whew, that was a lot of information. I am going to turn it over to Hilda to talk a little more about some practical information about the School of Social Work and your arrival. So, Hilda?
Yep. Thank you, Greta. That's a lot. Thank you for everything and the detailed explanation. So now I probably going to talk about like some basic information about our school and what is your arrival going to looks like, what kind of material or resources you're going to need. So here is our school building. If you click this website, it will lead you to building information and our overall map around different building in our campus. So our social work building, it's a 5-level building situated on the corner of South and East University Avenue on the U of M Central Campus. So if you entered from the street and main entrance, which is in the middle of these two buildings, like this building is like this, and the main entrance is in the corner. Um, and you after you enter the main entrance and you will enter the first or the main level. And the building also has a lower level that is shown on the right picture with a really beautiful open space for studying, as well as second and third floor and fourth floor, where you can find different classroom and office space. Our Office of Global Activity is located in the third floor, and the DEI, while now is flourishing office, is located in the second floor. And here is a picture that we call it's your AMP card. Your AMP card is kind of like your official university ID card. So with your AMP card, you will get the access to different buildings, allow you to ride the local buses for free, and also grant you some discounts at some local businesses. This web page link here has instruction on how to submit a photo to have your AMP card created before you arrive in the fall, so that you can just submit your photos, and when you arrive in the campus, you will pick it up in a certain spot on campus. You will receive an email that talk about pick up your AMP card and specific time chunk. So you just need to go to that spot and get your AMP card, and that's it. Um, yep. And for arrival logic, most of the international students or you all will fly to Detroit Metropolitan Airport, or we call it DTW. This is also the closest airport to Ann Arbor. You will have a quite few transportation options from the airport to Ann Arbor, including Uber, Lyft, which is like a something pretty much like a online taxes system, and also taxes. However, the Michigan Flyer is a unique bus services that's run directly from the airport to the main transit center in downtown Ann Arbor. If you click this link, they will get you through the Michigan Flyer website. You just need to check what time you want to take the buses and how many luggage you have and how many tickets you need. So, and if you have them, you can yeah, just apart from those three kinds of way you can get to the Ann Arbor, apart from that, you can leverage your personal network in this area to have someone to pick you up from the airport. And for others, um, we can kind of want to talk about the transportation in Ann Arbor. So the public transportation in Ann Arbor is likely not as developed as where you are from. However, we do have some few options. Like all students can ride the blue buses or the U of M buses for free, which is like literally blue buses in the right corner picture. And these buses, sorry. This buses connected the three main campuses. So we have Central Campus, North Campus, and South. So all these buses routed around those three area. So you have free access to it. However, Ann Arbor also has its own pretty extensive bus system that's connecting Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, which is a neighboring city. As I mentioned earlier, you can also use your AMP card to ride these buses for free. For example, the ride. Just swipe your card and you can board the bus. When it comes to connecting Detroit and Ann Arbor, there's also another bus line called D2A2. And it is a new commuter bus services connecting Detroit and Ann Arbor, and they providing hourly trips between these two cities from 8 a.m. to midnight during the week. So this may also be a great option if you need to travel from Detroit and Ann Arbor. So just check their website. You can get your pretty much affordable ticket. Of course, rideshare and taxi services are also widely available. So just feel free to call a Uber, Lyft, which make your life easier. If you previously have a driving license, for example, you already get the license in Michigan, you may also rent a car. The pretty much common car rent company here is Zipcar and Enterprise. They have pickup spot and drop-off spots in both in Detroit and Ann Arbor area. So just feel free to use them if you want to drive by yourself. Mm, well, we kind of talk about the vehicles. Now it's the most headache part is parking. Yeah, if you plan to rent or buy a car during your time in Ann Arbor, you also considering parking. We have two options for parking on or near campus. The first one is commuter parking. And it's like a university and the ride provide the several free commuter parking lots that they will provide services to campus via bus. So this is also called Park and Ride program, and you can check their website to see where you can get those parking spots. Also, you can get a parking permit, um, but it's really limited and kind of expensive. If you're considering purchasing a park permit, like a parking permit, just please visit the website on this page and finding more information for a student parking. Also, there is a website talk about Central and South Campus parking map. But most of the time, you will find if it's not busy during the day, you may find a street parking that is for free, or you need to pay by hourly. And then we will talk about housing. So most of the students will rent apartment in Ann Arbor or in the neighboring city called Ypsilanti. So here is Ann Arbor, and in the east part, that is Ypsilanti. It usually take 20 minutes drive, so it's not so far away. But in terms of finding housing, we do have some website here you can click on to find your housing options. For me personally, I found my housing, like off-campus housing, in the off-campus housing website. So just feel free to check those website out. And in terms of graduate student dormitory, we do have two options for that, and you need to apply for the dormitory in the campus housing website. We have Northwood Community Housing, which is in the North Campus Graduate Students Dormitory. And we also have one on Central Campus. It's called Munger Graduate Residence. So just feel free to check this website, apply for it if you want to live in the dormitory. If you would rather live off campus, just check those websites, try to sign a lease, whatever. Yep. Um, oh, sorry. There's some, yeah. For if you do want to sign up a contract with some companies and off campus to get your housing, we do have a student legal services that they provide support, assistance, and and in housing and representation, so that you can apply. I think you may first need schedule appointment with them to get a consultation, and then they will have next step for you. So basically, we do have student legal services that you can reach out to if you have any problem with your leasing. And also, if you decided to live in Ann Arbor or you already signed a contract and you accept and you're moving, you are required to update your address in the Vulvar Wellness sorry, in the webinar access within 10 days of any address change while you're still in the F1 or G1 status. Basically, if you arrive in the United States and you move into your apartment or your housing, you may need to change your address on the webinar access. And for other helpful links, we do recommend you to check the International Center website. They will have information about how to get a cell phone, banking, driver's license, health insurance, childcare, and social events. Um, and also International Center, as Great has mentioned before, it has a summer orientation that both in person and also online. Example of orientation events and resources that will be available to support you as you begin your journey as a new student in the U of M. They have Ask Me peer lead question and answer session. They also have blogs and video written by the International Summer Orientation peer advisors, social events through which you can meet with other new international students, and also virtual presentation on a wide range of topics related to life in Ann Arbor and at the University of Michigan. For example, cultural differences in classroom, housing and setting up household utilities, banking and budgeting, finding a job on campus, or just in general. For example, how to live through Michigan weather and how to get your jacket, something like that. So just keep an eye on that. They will send an email bi-weekly or weekly. I'm not sure, maybe weekly, to talk about useful resources during the orientation season. And for your arrival, sorry, there may be too much link for y'all, but we do recommend that you check it out. So here is International Center pre-arrival resources. The first one, it's a visual orientation for the new international student, as I just talked in the last page. It usually happen in June and July. You can visit their calendar to check, okay, I want to jump in this session. So just feel free to register for any session you're interested in. Also, they have a pre-arrival guide for international student, also a welcome booklet. Just it's a really general and common knowledge, like like a toolkit or guideline that you can check it out to see if that is useful for you. Okay, more links. Sorry. So there's some of other campus student organization or group that may be also used for you to building network or finding peers or finding supports. So the GRIN, it's a really common student organization that ran by graduate students. It's called Graduate Rackham International. It's a student-run organization that aims to provide support for all. Hello?
Sorry, Hilda, I think your audio just went out for a second. What was the last thing you said?
Um, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay. Sorry. Okay, should I start from the Graduate Rackham International?
No, we heard that part. It was just whatever was after that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So it's like a basically just a student organization for international graduate students. And personally, I'm also in there, and people there are really, really nice. And you can sign up for their new settlers here on this link. Um, but just want to notice that the School of Social Work doesn't belong to the Rackham Graduate School. So Rackham Graduate School is another institution that in charge of all the graduate students, not all, just some of the graduate students. But the School of Social Work have it separately because School of Social Work, I think we only have master degree. We do have a minor for undergrad, but School of Social Work is basically like a graduate school. Yeah, just some clarification here. The GRIN also provide information about opportunity that are relevant for international students, like fellowships, scholarships, social and professional events. Just feel free to check them out. They will meet, I think, bi-weekly to planning on their events. So yeah, it's really cute student group. And other social media platform include Facebook and Twitter. You may check or somebody post maybe some little tips surviving on campus on there. You may also just browsing it if you have the habit to browsing social media. Yeah. And for other U of M involvement, we do have School of Social Work Student Organization. You can click the website to check it out. And we also have Center for Campus Involvement, which is a student-focused department that service undergrad and graduate student campus-wide through its program and student organization support. And May's page. Here is where you can find all the student clubs and student organization here. If you click the May's page, um, they will have a search bar. For example, you are interested in sports and art, and you can put sports. So all the information about the sports club will show up, and you can just reach out via their email. And also during the fall and winter semester, we do have club and student organization festival, which means all the clubs will tabling in a certain area. It's usually in the Dayak. You will know once you arrive in the U of M. So they will tabling there. If you're interested in specific organization or club, you can say, hey, I want to join. So they will give you information about that. Yeah. Other than that, we do have sorry. Other than that, we do have other musical opportunity and official athletic sites. For example, if you're really a music person or music head, just do check the musical society. They will have free concert, performance, opera, blah blah blah. So a lot of opportunity. Just as I said, if you are really into sports, we do have a lot of sports area, gym, bodybuilding center, something like that. Just check it out. And I just want to notice that your tuition include the germ fee um in it. So just if you really want to do some sports, just use the campus infrastructure. That's a really big building. It's an athletic center. Yeah. Okay. We almost done. um, Here are some tips from the current students and alignment of our international students. So I'm probably gonna read through all of this. So the first tip is like get to know other international students and domestic students and to form your own social support network. So basically just making friends. Sometimes as faculty member or professors, um, honestly they're just not in the certain position and they're not international students. They are also not current students. So students know their experiences best, so just we do encourage you to find and build your own support network. And don't be afraid to reach out, be proactive and self-direct to your learning and taking advantage of the opportunity that are available. So as we know, a lot of scholarship and financial aid that is not available for international students, but there's still a lot of opportunity um, that is available for international students. Just take the advantage of the resources here and get what you want. And then be prepared to gain a lot of understanding of American context and policy in the US. We do have an introduction class if you're in the 16, 20 months and sorry, yes, 16 and 20 months and master track, right? Sorry, just like we do have an introduction class for policies. And if you have any question for that, just feel free to reach out to the instructor, your peers, um, your academic advisor. Just never afraid to reach out and be open to learning about new cultures and also sharing your own cultures. Sometimes I would say cultural learning and cultural exchange is on both sides. Sometimes you may have culture shock, but also on the other side, for example, domestic students, they may also have culture shock from the culture that you are carrying. So just not afraid to share your cultures and try to educate the people that you are talking to. And you will also probably have more projects and papers than exams. So just be prepared for writing, working in groups, and presentation, etc. Um, Sorry, if I don't know if my network is not stable.
Oh, we can still hear you, so you're doing great, Hilda.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. For the last part is culture shock. It's real, but we are here for you. We do have a guideline here. It's called Coping with Culture Shock, a guide for international students. You can check it out. Well, also we do encourage you to just talk to your advisor, finding somebody in the international center. They are really supportive. They have really supportive staff and faculty team. Just as me personally, this is my first time and first year study abroad, and also I'm the first generation in my family. So I do have a lot of things that I'm getting confused. I talked to another staff member who is a previously graduate student in the School of Social Work. She's really nice, just never afraid to reach out and talk to somebody that when you think you need to talk. Apart from that, we do have um, counseling and psychological services, which is like a campus consulting center. That is my previous field placement. You may call or making appointment with them online. Just never afraid to reach out if you want a therapist or just want someone that you want to talk to. And also we have other support department like student legal services. If you have any issue surrounding legal stuff, the student legal services is a good starting point to start the consultation. Yeah. Also, we have Office of Financial Aid, Student Services, and any more, but sometimes there will be, maybe there's too many offices. If you have problem on which office is in charge of what, just never afraid to reach out from us as a starting point. Yeah. Okay. Um, and in the last part of our welcome webinar, we do have we do want to like show a program that we are running. It's called JPP Global Partner Program. It's a incoming, it's every incoming international student with either an incoming US student or second year US students or second year international students. We will match you and for just like another student to talk about your social work practice, facilitate positive and mutual beneficial interaction, and to foster a greater appreciation for diversity, equity, and inclusion in the school of social work. So we will start this program soon. Just please keep an eye on your email for more information about registration in the Global Partner Program. So it's basically just like matching you with another student. They are either domestic students or international student, second year international students. For example, me, I'm a second year international student. So just helping you navigate through, okay, what is your hobbies? What can we meet? Where can we meet with each other? And what is some good restaurant? It could be really social, like a friends. It also could be a useful resources when you need help that your partner will be here. Sorry?
Sorry. Nope. Great. All right. I think
Okay.
that is, ooh, that was a lot of information. Thank you for everyone for listening to this point. The last thing I just wanted to mention that we don't have a slide for, but I did want to pull up our International Center website. We do want to acknowledge that I know for many of our incoming international students, the decision to attend a U.S. Institution has been a challenging one for this fall because of our US political climate. We know that the visa appointments were paused for several weeks and they have started up again, but there's a lot of uncertainty. And we just want to note that. And say that we are aware and we are tracking the situation. And our school is here to support you if you have questions or want to talk through your situation and its feasibility. So the International Center, I just wanted to point out down at the bottom of their homepage has this news section. And so the International Center is really stays very, very, very up to date with all of the changes happening in our sort of immigration laws and policies and procedures and things that are happening. And so they do post news, sort of like breaking news within 24 hours of major changes happening. And so I just want to highlight that as a resource. Our office works really closely with the International Center, as does our Office of Student Services, so that we can be knowledgeable and support students in decision making. I imagine that you have heard that you do have the option to defer your admission for next year if that is something that feels like a better fit for where you are right now in your life and decision making. But for those of you who do have your visas or have been able to get a visa appointment now that they have resumed, we are also really happy and excited to welcome you to the School of Social Work and just want to say that we deeply value our international community, both our students and our staff and faculty who come from other parts of the world, that you are welcome at our school, that we do have opportunity and community, and we're always looking to build that for our international students and communities here. So know that it is value of the School of Social Work to welcome international students, and we hope that you will feel at home here and welcomed here should you decide to come. And we recognize that there are risks and there are real challenging decisions in making that decision, especially right now because of the US climate. So if you have questions about that, again, the International Center is a good place to talk through your options, but our office, the Office of Global Activities, or the Office of Student Services, is more than happy to answer any questions for you as well.